Where's Johnny?
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
So serious.
I am Iron Man.
This is a tasty burger.
Welcome to the In Session Film Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chasing the Gold. I am Erica Richards, and I'm here with my co-host,
Shadan Larky.
And Shadan is still at TIFF, and she did it, you guys. She saw 30 films. Incredible. How many days how many days was it?
8.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So this episode and the next episode are going to be basically like a ranking countdown type of thing for Shadan to go through and tell us about all the films she saw and rank them. So, okay, Shadan, you're at the end of the festival. How are you feeling?
This was a really crazy experience. So, on the podcast feed, if you're a Patreon member, which if you're not a Patreon member, we would very much love for you to be, because it's a great way to support all of the work that everyone at In Session Film does. So there's a bonus Patreon episode that Erica and I did where I sort of talk about on the ground stuff, some celebrity sightings, some short film reviews. So we had a lot of fun doing that one. So please subscribe to our Patreon so you could listen for more details. But yeah, it's, I mentioned in the other episode, I didn't even think that I was going to make it to TIFF this year. It kind of became very complicated for reasons that we won't get into, but I am just so grateful to have the opportunity to do this. This was my 4th TIFF. I get to come stay with my family and see my family while I'm here. So it's a really, really special experience when all is said and done. I do have a couple screeners to watch, but I saw 30 films on the ground at TIFF, technically 31. Should I cheat and tell you, Erica, what my 31st film of TIFF was?
Absolutely.
Okay, so as I mentioned, this was the 50th TIFF, which if you guys can't see, I'm wearing TIFF merch. I want to show that off. But this was the 50th TIFF, so what they did kind of throughout the festival was they had sort of classics that they brought back for people to watch. And one of them was Jaws. So I got to go see Jaws on 35 millimeter in a gorgeous theater, packed with people. It was so much fun. It was one of my favorite, I don't know what that says of this festival, that one of my favorite experiences was watching Jaws. It was just that John Williams score on the big screen, because I've seen Jaws, obviously, but I've never seen it in a theater setting. So that was so cool. And the couple next to me was this like elderly couple. I think they were not from the United States or whatever, so they hadn't seen Jaws before. So like I would watch them watching Jaws and they were so excited.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to watch someone watch Jaws for the first time. Tyler and I just recently went to the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. They did it. So that score with an orchestra, it was so cool. And Jaws is just like, it's what it is for a reason, because it's that good. And every time you see it, it's that good. So I'm not judging at all that it was like one of your faves from the festival. Yeah.
I mean, that Spielberg guy, there were just some shots that I was like, no wonder this guy is like the GOAT of American cinema.
I know.
I mean, crazy. But I will say, Erica, okay, so to kind of give you a little encapsulation, and for those of you who are going to be like, oh, Shadan, we have to listen to a 2-part episode, and the back half of your episode is going to be a bunch of also ran films, that's not true, because I'm sorry to tell you guys, or maybe happy to tell you guys, that some of the biggest titles of this festival are in the back half of my list. So buckle in, because some of these films that I'm sure you're going to hear about all season long, I'm going to be talking about in this episode. But yeah, Erica, when I was sort of making my ranking ferociously this morning, I realized there was only like 4 films that I could say I genuinely loved.
Okay.
Maybe a few that I really liked, and then a lot of them where I was like, meh.
Okay.
Just whelmed. So I don't know what you want to make of that information, but I tweeted, and I'm at Shadan Larky everywhere. I tweeted, I said, TIFF, the story of TIFF 50 is the story of the aggressively average dad movie. And I felt that about so many. I was like, I need to tell like my uncles about. I mean, it was just like that's, yeah, a lot of films like that. And I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if that's a me thing. I don't know if that's a TIFF situation, but yeah, like I said, maybe 3 or 4 that are going to be all-time favorites for me, but not very many. And not very many compared to previous TIFF experiences of mine, I will say.
Yeah. Do you just think like this is the type of film that's being made now, or do you just think like why do you think that is?
I mean, a lot of the films at TIFF are films that are going to be streaming relatively soon. That just happen to make their premieres at TIFF.
Yeah.
TIFF is in an interesting position because it's it's after Cannes, it's after Venice, it's after Telluride. So on the one hand, it's good because there's a reason why they call TIFF the Festival of Festivals, because by the time things get you kind of you kind of know what to look for, and it's like easier to set your schedule. But then at the other hand, like there just weren't that many splashy world premieres this year in comparison to other years because they did end up going to Telluride or Venice first. So I mean, you could make an argument that maybe the festival is sort of losing ground to New York or to Telluride or to Venice, but I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see the future of TIFF, I think. I wonder if they're like in a little bit of a transition period. Yeah. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if that's just what's being made now. I will say a few of the films that I missed that I would have liked to see. The big one is The Voice of Hind Rajab, which I've heard incredible things about. It's from the same filmmaker. She was nominated for a documentary Oscar for a film a couple years ago called Four Daughters.
Yes.
Which is I just love that movie. Yes. I think I also saw that film at TIFF. So I really wanted to see this one, and I've heard it's one of the best of the year. So if anyone out there can tell me how I can see this movie, I would love to see it. And I think this list would have looked a lot different if I had a chance to see that.
Sorry, did you say it's another documentary?
It's not a doc. It's a feature. Okay. Yeah, it's a feature film about a little girl, a little Palestinian girl who dies. And then another one that I missed was Christie with Sydney Sweeney. Which I gotta be honest, I just wasn't super interested in. I didn't really make it a priority. So, and I've heard very mixed.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen some mixed things on it. So
yeah. So I'm not too disappointed in missing it. I've heard she's good, but that the film itself is not very good. I wouldn't be surprised if she's sort of like the Pamela Anderson of this season. She maybe shows up, gets nominated a couple places, but doesn't make it all the way. Another one is Bad Apples. It's a Saoirse Ronan comedy from A24 where she plays a teacher, I think. And I heard it was really funny, and I heard really great things about it, and I just didn't make it. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And Eleanor the Great, Scarlett Johansson's directorial debut, starring the great June Squibb, who I adore. Didn't make it. Also heard mixed things about that one, but I would have liked to see it just because it's June Squibb. So
yeah. Okay, so do you want to just dive in? Do you want to
Shall I?
Yeah, I want to. Okay. I'm hear about all the things.
As I mentioned, this back half of the list, and I will say in my methodology, I just thought about like what are the movies that I am most excited to recommend? What are the movies that disappointed me the most? What are the movies that I'm still thinking about, etc., etc. And this last one, number 30, may be at the bottom of my list simply because it was one of my most anticipated movies, and I'm just disappointed. And that's Ballad of a Small Player from Edward Berger of Conclave fame.
Oh, yeah.
Starring the great Colin Farrell. It's set in Macau, which is not a place that I know a lot about. It's like a country off the south coast of China that was like part of a Portuguese territory for a while. So it's kind of this mix of cultures. It's a really interesting place. Like I loved the setting and I loved how much the setting plays into the movie, but it was very much style over substance. It's basically this guy who has a lot of gambling debt, the Colin Farrell character, and he's trying to get out of debt. And trying to pull a fast one and all these people that he owes money to. And it's very much like this trend in filmmaking of like the Eat the Rich movie that we keep seeing over and over again. This one is just relentless. It feels repetitive. Colin Farrell is very good. Honestly, awards wise, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up at the Globes or something. And it looks good. I mean, the production design is good. It's well directed, I guess. The story, I was just like, this is not interesting. Like, this could have been a 30-minute short film.
Yeah.
Tilda Swinton shows up, but she's very wasted and not wasted. I mean, wasted in terms of like she's not given much to do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of scenes with food that was, again, repetitive. It didn't capture my interest very much. I was like kind of waiting for it to be over, which I never thought I would say about an Edward Berger film. Which brings me to, Erica, I must say, like, my biggest complaint overall of the films of this festival was they just all felt too long. And I heard this over and over again. Like, I've told you, my favorite thing about going to these festivals is just meeting people. Like, I talk to everyone. If you're a film critic, if you're just some random person in Toronto coming, and that's one of the blessings of being able to stay for most of the festival is the back half, like the celebrities and people leave. And maybe to some people that doesn't seem as interesting. But then what happens is that's when the regular folks get to come in and start watching movies. And like, that's so fun to get to talk to them and see what they're excited about. And the thing that I heard over and over again was like, oh, I liked it, but it was too long. Oh, I liked it, but it was too long. I don't know what's happening, but it's like most of these films, again, my rankings would be so much different if most of these films were just 30 minutes shorter.
Yeah. That's, and it's interesting because I feel that way a lot of the time. And I'm like, is this just like all of our, attention spans changing? And like just what we're used to now. But it's so funny, right? Because it's like, sometimes I'm like, oh, that was too long, but I can sit and binge like a show for 8 hours. Or, the other night, Tyler and I watched the movie Traffic. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't. I need to.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about, though?
Yeah.
It was 2.5 hours long, and when we sat down to watch it, we're like, okay, what time is it? Like, yeah, it's not late enough. Like, we have plenty of time to watch this, but it's like, you see 2.5 hour mark, and you're like, oh, like, is this gonna hold my attention for that long? Whereas something like Wicked, like 2.5 hours easy, almost 3 hours easy, where I'm just like, I'm always skeptical when I see like a 2+ hour long film, and then it pleasantly surprised me, right? It was like we watched it and I'm like, man, they don't make movies like this anymore. Like, it was really good, and it had a lot of good storylines that tied together. It didn't feel too long, but it's interesting because I feel like a lot of that now, like there's a lot of things that I'm like, yeah, even if it was like 20 minutes shorter, like, and I'm also someone who, I don't know if you get this way, like I'm really interested in a pacing of a film. Like I want to know.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, I want to, like, even when I'm at home, I'll be like, flip the time so I can see where we're at in the film. Like, I'm interested in, like, I'm always looking for that 1 hour pivot moment. Like, you can feel it coming and you're like, okay, we must be like an hour in. You're like, is this the 1 hour pivot where the story's changing? But I don't know. It's like, is it our attention spans, or is it just, I think sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's like the story needs to be better and tighter, and
I think it is a pacing and editing thing for a lot of these. I think that it's such an interesting thing because I mentioned a lot of these films are films that are going to be on streaming services, and on the one hand, I'm like, that's such a blessing because some of these films would not be made otherwise. But I think when you're given that kind of freedom, it leads to overindulgence. And I think sometimes maybe when you're an Edward Berger, you're coming off Conclave, like you'd need somebody to be like, no, dude, this is not, I don't know. But, so, that's just one of those themes that I've just noticed. And even with, like books and miniseries, TV shows, even that, I'm like, this would be a lot better if we tightened it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next up on my list, it pains me, but another one of those disappointments of the festival for me, Richard Linklater's Blue Moon.
Ooh.
Erica, was just bored. I was bored. And I again have mentioned Richard Linklater maybe my favorite, Del Toro, Linklater, my two favorite directors of all time. I love a Richard Linklater movie where people sit and talk. That's my favorite kind of movie.
Oh my God,
This one, so the story is it follows Lorenz Hart, played by Ethan Hawke, who was the sort of creative partner to Richard Rodgers before Richard Rodgers kind of joined forces with Hammerstein, and they became the Rodgers and Hammerstein that everyone knows and loves. So it takes place the opening night of Oklahoma. This guy's former creative partner is having the biggest night of his life. It's sort of this turning point in American musical theater history. And Lorenz Hart is just reflecting on their relationship and what he's doing, his relationship to art. Andrew Scott plays Richard Rodgers. Margaret Qualley plays this sort of young woman that Hart is sort of enamored by, whether that's platonically or he's actually in love with her, who really knows. But most of the film is a conversation between Hawke and Qualley. I don't know. I just was not, and it's so, and this is something else that comes up with festivals is hype, right? Like, you have a filmmaker that you love. He's there introducing the film with a cast that you love, and you're sort of so excited. And then there's just this letdown that happens. But I was just not invested in this man. And I will say it pulls off kind of this like Rebecca thing where it shows you the end at the beginning and then you go back. But I think that kind of ruined it because I was like, I know what's going to happen. So now I don't really feel invested in what's actually happening. Ethan Hawke, again, very, very good performance, like very transformative. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he potentially becomes a player this season in terms of awards. But I just didn't care. That sounds terrible, but I just did
especially
not
because you're such a Linklater girly. I am too, and
theater. I love theater. Like, this is on paper, everything should have come together, but I was just bored. I don't know how else to.
Can I ask you a question? And no judgment here. Was it what time of day were you watching this film? Had you already seen 3 films that day? Were you tired? Do you think that has anything to do with it, or do you just feel good?
That definitely did have something to do with it, for sure. But I also spoke to other people that were like, I was also just really bored, and even leaving the theater, again, people were they were just like, oh, I didn't know the story, but I didn't find the story that interesting.
Interesting, because okay, so like you said, I'm kind of just Googling along as you're talking about things because I want to see if there's immediately it's 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, oh, when you see that, you're like, okay, people like this, and 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty high for IMDb, I think. So it's just interesting because, like you said, is it festival hype? Is the opinion going to change the more people that see it over the course of, time before it's released, and then when it's released? I don't know. But I am shocked to hear a Richard Linklater film low on the list.
And I think it's funny because I always said Richard Linklater was one of those directors that I feel like can't miss. And I do feel like this was a miss. But maybe, I probably need to watch it. I will watch it again. I'll give it another shot. But I think it's just the slowness, and it's just sad. It's just so sad. And the comedy, there's not much comedy in it, even though it's attempting bits of comedy. So it just feels relentlessly sad. And again, that choice to sort of show us the beginning at the end at the beginning, I think was a mistake. I think if you didn't have that in there, I would be much more invested in what's happening. But
okay.
Yeah, I want to see, because Richard Linklater had another film at TIFF that I didn't get a chance to see. I heard that one was very good.
What was that one?
I'm ferociously trying to Google, and if you could ferociously Google for me while I get to my next film. But my next film is a film called The Sun and the Sea, which it pains me to even put it this low on the list because the director is a woman called Storma Corinnes. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a film set on the Scottish coast. Her brother plays the lead in the film. It's a very like sweet, all in the family kind of a film. Her whole family was there at the screening. You could tell it meant a lot to her. It's a very simple story about 3 boys sort of coming to age in this beautiful seaside town. There's like British sign language. I really liked that aspect of that of sort of blending that in with the rest of the film. The problem is it just doesn't. I actually really like films. Let me put it this way: I really like films about sort of the day in the life kind of a thing, and there's a few of those quite high up on my list. Spoiler alert. This one I just don't find myself thinking about it. I kind of keep forgetting that I saw it. That sounds terrible, but I'll be interested to see what she does next, and maybe this will connect more with other people. It just kind of came and went for me.
Mm-hmm. Not to backpedal, but to backpedal, I just threw in the chat to you the other Richard Linklater film.
Wait, how do you pronounce? Spoil it for me. What is it? Is it
Nouvelle?
It's French. Nouvelle
Vague? It looks like.
Yeah, Nouvelle Vague. That's what it is.
And it says it's a film about Jean-Luc Godard and the making of Breathless.
Yeah, which I've heard. I think I mentioned this. I've heard that if you like one, you'll not like the other of the 2 Linklater films at TIFF. So maybe I'll like that one more. And I should mention, guys, I will have a full breakdown of every single movie we talk about in the description, whether it's one of my rankings or not. So if we mention something and you forget about it, go to the show notes and you will get a full breakdown, even with trailers if I can find them. And release dates. So
I was gonna say this one says that there will be a limited release in the US October 31st, and then we'll be streaming on Netflix starting November 14th, and then Blue Moon will be released by Sony. So
most of these films are coming out very soon. You will not have to wait very long to see them. Which takes me to my next film, Erica, The Lost Bus. The most dad film of dad films to ever dad film in my life.
So what is
one? This one comes out October 3rd. It's going to be streaming on Apple. So very, very soon you'll be able to see it. This one is directed by Paul Greengrass of United 93. I really like Paul Greengrass. This is by no means, and I should say, like, I wouldn't even say any of the films on my list are actively bad. This one is just, it's fine. And you're probably going to watch it in a couple Fridays from now on your couch and be like, that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, Erica, there were 2 films at TIFF, only 2 that made me cry. And this was one of them. And I'll tell you why. So the story of this is it's during the Paradise fires in California in 2018, the deadliest wildfire in California history as of now. And there's this bus driver played by Matthew McConaughey, and he sort of is having a bad day, running late to work, and then this fire breaks down, and he gets a call saying, like, you need to pick these kids up and take them somewhere safe so their parents can come pick them up. So he goes to the school. There's a teacher played by America Ferrera. They take the kids, put them on a bus. Then they're basically, the story of the film is trying to get these kids out, and they get stuck in this fire, and I didn't know the particular story of this bus driver, so there are definitely parts where I was like, oh, I hope these kids are going to be okay, and they're crying for their moms, and that made me cry. But it's just like a sort of survivalist story that we've seen plenty of times. Again, not bad. Your fathers will love this movie. I'm
looking it up because I didn't even know about this, and those are 2 really big names that I feel like I should know about. And it looks like it's gonna be an Apple TV movie, which
Yeah, Apple. It's gonna be on Apple October 3rd. It's gonna be in theaters before then, but it'll be on Apple soon. I mean, it's worth watching. Like I said, if you just want something to watch on a Friday, it's enjoyable enough. And the whole cast was there. It was very interesting to see Matthew McConaughey in a tux and not, in his UT Austin gear in the elevator of the UTJ school, which is where I'm used to seeing him. So that was funny. Yeah, and
humble brag. I love it.
Humble brag. Well, I mean, I feel like he's there. He basically just lives there, so
That's
it's
so
like
cool.
you see him the way you see like the
Yeah.
your TA walking down the hallway. But but a couple tidbits that I thought were interesting, or I should just mention, his real life son plays his son in the movie, and then his mom plays his mom in the movie, which was kind of cute.
Cool.
Yeah. And Jamie Lee Curtis is the executive. She produced this with Jason Blum of Blumhouse fame, and she was at the Q&A, and she was so passionate about this movie. That's what I love about Jamie Lee Curtis.
I really love her. Yeah,
every single project, Erica, that she does, she talks about like it's the best thing that she's ever done.
Which is so relatable, right? I feel like that would be me. It's just so cool to see someone be excited about the work they're doing.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm the same way. I feel like every movie that I love, I talk about a way that it's the best movie that I've ever seen. So it is very, and just seeing her in a room, it kind of makes you understand why she ran away with that Oscar for Everything Everywhere, because she's very magnetic. She captures your attention. She's as I was leaving and I was sort of tuned into what people were saying, people were like, oh, seeing Jamie Lee Curtis was the best part of that experience. She made people hyped, so hyped.
That's so cool.
For the movie. So again, a solid Friday watch on your couch film. McConaughey is good. He's always good. America Ferrera is good. Always good. There's nothing here that's reinventing the wheel. There's nothing here you haven't seen before in these kinds of movies. But it's not a bad time necessarily.
Mm-hmm. It's a safe time, it sounds like.
It's a safe time. You know what, Erica? Not a safe time for the kids on those buses.
Right.
but a safe time for you.
Yeah.
And your dad and all of his friends.
I'm down. I'm gonna watch it. Like you said, it's what are we gonna watch this weekend? Let's throw that on, Okay, so where are we at now? Are we on film?
We are on film 25, I believe.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Or 20.
Yeah.
26. Okay, so next on my list is a film called Dinner with Friends, directed by Sasha Lee Henry. A very small indie film. It's about sort of something, again, very relatable. It's just a bunch of people in a room at a dinner talking. They're sort of in their 30s. Some have kids, some don't. They're coupled up. They don't get to see each other that often, so they have these dinner parties to sort of catch up. And they're having the kind of conversations that you and I have conversations about when we're at dinner parties.
Yeah.
I thought it was, again, it's not anything I haven't seen before. It's not reinventing the wheel, but I had a good time. I was invested enough in their conversations. I found it relatable. Happy that I watched it. It's a tiny film, so I'll kind of see where it goes and push it along and champion it where I can. But, it kind of got lost in some of the bigger things that I saw, but definitely enjoyable. And I like movies about adults doing adult things, and I like movies about people talking about things. And I just thought it was fun to kind of be a fly on the wall at this dinner party with a bunch of smart, intelligent people.
Yeah. Is there any big names in it? Any big?
No, it's very tiny. Yeah. Okay. That's kind of the fun part of TIFF. I saw actually this year. I saw kind of a lot of these tinier films. Most of them are higher up on my list, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Just because this one, again, it's I've seen versions of this film before, but I enjoyed it enough. I'm happy that I saw it. I'm happy that TIFF, that's one of the great things about these festivals, is giving space for people to show their films and to have their moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit too small, I guess, for its own good, because it's so centralized around this dinner table.
Yeah.
but it was enjoyable enough. Which brings me to my next film, America. Also, one of my bigger disappointments of TIFF. It's called A Private Life.
Okay.
Directed by Rebecca. I hope I'm not going to say this correct, but I'll try. Rebecca Zlotowski.
Okay.
She directed a film called Other People's Children, which I saw my very first year at TIFF in 2022. Ended up becoming one of my favorite films of that festival, and genuinely one of my favorite films that I've ever seen. I love that film. And it stars oh God, I'm gonna mispronounce. Can you look up the lead? She's a French actress. I love her. She's also in A Private Life, which is why I wanted to see this.
Okay. Is her name Virginie Efira?
Yes, I love her. She's one of my favorite sort of international actresses. I feel like she should be Oscar nominated like 3 times.
Yeah, and I see that Jodie Foster's in this.
Yes,
and you know that I
so
love Jodie Foster.
and that is why this is at number, 25, 26 is because of Jodie Foster. So the plot of this film is that Jodie Foster is this American psychiatrist living in Paris, working in Paris. It's mostly in French, which I wasn't expecting, but basically her client, played by Virginie, she commits suicide, and then Jodie Foster is like, I've seen this woman for years. I had a session with her a week ago. She not seem suicidal. What's going on?
Right.
And so it's like a little bit of this mystery of what happened to this woman. And Jodie Foster is very, very good. The problem is when you're Jodie Foster, you're always very good.
Yeah.
So unless you're like incredible, like a very good Jodie Foster performance doesn't do much. And then I felt like the other Virginie's character is very wasted. She doesn't have much to do, which maybe if it was more of a two-hander between them, I would have enjoyed it more.
Right.
This one is just the reason why it's not higher on my list is because it just feels forgettable to me. It just feels like an adult mystery, you know what I mean? And I've seen those before. It doesn't again,
Does
it's
it
not
have a satisfying ending at least?
No, because I felt the ending was very predictable.
Okay.
Yeah, it just again, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's perfectly fine. I'm sure if you saw it on HBO Max, you would think that it was a nice couple hours.
Sure.
I don't regret seeing it. I don't regret seeing it. I don't regret seeing any of the movies on my list.
Yeah.
But it could have been more, or it could have been a little bit different. It just felt very rote. And yeah, like I've seen a version of it before, and I felt like with the talent involved, I was expecting more. Especially with a director that I just love, because I felt like Other People's Children was the kind of movie where I was like, this is saying something and it's doing something different. And this was just what happened to this woman who died.
Right.
Who's the prime suspect? The husband. The husband's always the prime suspect. Kind of a thing.
It's always the husband.
It's always the husband. So yes, shall we move on?
Yes. So you're what? You have 10 more, 9 or 10 more for this half of the list.
Mine says number 24. So far, to give you guys a recap, we have Ballad of a Small Player, Blue Moon, The Sun and the Sea, Dinner with Friends, The Lost Bus, A Private Life, and now we are at my next film.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Are you feeling good? This one's another big name dad movie. We're about to hit like 2 of them back to back.
Give it to me.
Okay, Dead Man's Wire, directed by Gus Van Sant, the great Gus Van Sant. This one is a very interesting plot. So basically, it's this guy played by one of the Skarsgårds, Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, okay.
He's a man that's been disillusioned because his mortgage company has sort of screwed him over. So he's like out to exact revenge on them. So he basically kidnaps the son of the mortgage company guy, bigwig.
Yeah.
And he ties a wire around his neck with a gun, where basically if the guy moves, it's based on a true story, I should mention, where if he moves, he's gonna get shot, and so he
Wow.
takes the guy basically or through the city to his apartment where he lives, and he's like holding this guy hostage for like 2 or 3 days, I think, while he's trying to get this mortgage company and the guy's father to admit that, hey, we, basically effed up your deal, and we owe you all this money, this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
The problem is, and I mean, there are moments of tension. A lot of people like this movie more than I did. I must say, the review of it on In Session Film has much higher praise than what I have for it.
Okay.
I think the problem is, so when the movie ends, you see the real life clips of the guy, like all these things that happen, and the real life clips are so much more interesting than the way they're done in the movie.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like there's a lot of interesting side characters. So Coleman Domingo plays this radio DJ who the Skarsgård character is like basically calling the DJ, and the DJ becomes kind of the intermediary between him and the police.
Okay.
And it's a crazy true story that this guy like kidnapped this guy and had a gun tied to a wire around his neck. That's why.
What year was this? Like, when did this happen in real life?
The 70s.
Okay. Because I looked at, like, I Googled it, all the films you're talking about, I Google as soon as you say the title. And I was going to say, it looks like it was kind of from the 70s. So I was interested to,
Yeah, I mean, the acting is very, very good. I enjoyed the performances a lot. The actor who plays the kidnappee, the kidnapped man, I don't know what the word is Decre Montgomery from Stranger Things.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So it's cool to see these Stranger Things kids doing but I just, what's funny, the Bill Skarsgård performance, I felt like he was just doing an impression of oh my god, Erica, who's the actor? This is gonna kill me. Who's the guy? He was in Knives Out, and Michael Shannon. The whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, "You're just doing your best Michael Shannon impression," and I would have just liked to see Michael Shannon in this.
That's so
performance
funny.
Instead,
I feel like when you see something and it just reminds you of something else, it's like you can't get it out of your head. That's interesting. So it's like kind of like is it like thriller-y? Like, yeah,
it's a thriller-y of like, what's gonna happen? Is the guy gonna get shot? Are the police gonna come, storm into this guy's house? Are they gonna blow up the whole thing? Is this guy gonna get his money back? Is this guy gonna get away with this crime? Like, it does raise a lot of questions. It's another one where the pacing is just all over the place. Like, I feel like it builds momentum, and then it just kind of slows down, and then it builds momentum again, and then it slows down. So you're kind of it's trying to take you for a ride, but there are parts where you're like, I want to get off the ride. It just doesn't maintain its storytelling. It's interesting because in the Q&A, Gus Van Sant was talking about how basically the way the film came together was very rushed. And part of me felt like I felt that when I was watching it. Like, I felt like maybe if they had a little bit more time, they could have planned it a bit better. Again, there's a lot of people that like this movie, and they're probably going to be like, why, you're being unfair, but it just didn't come together. It's not even that it didn't come together. It just wasn't as compelling to me as like the real life thing could have been.
Right. And well, like you said, here's the thing, right? Is like, you saw a lot of movies. This is a podcast where you're ranking them. You're going to have to figure out an order of them. You also said very clearly that you liked all of these films that you saw. None of them are bad. You're glad you saw them all. And you're allowed to have your opinion. So, somebody might like...
Yeah, the problem again is like, this is just such a dad film. And there's nothing wrong with dad films, don't get me wrong. But it's just like, maybe it's just not for me.
Right.
And then at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, how much do I care about the people that I'm watching? And I just didn't care. Like, that's the problem is this guy, the one who's being, kidnapped. I was like, if something happens to this man, I'm not invested in him. And that's a problem in these kinds of movies. Like, even The Lost Bus. Like, I was the reason why I cried is because I was, like, genuinely upset. And I was like, I want these kids to get off the bus.
Yeah.
But it's like, if I'm watching your movie and I'm like, I don't care if this man gets shot or not, that's kind of a problem, I think, in the storytelling.
Right. Well, and it's also like you said, is it because this is something you've seen so many times before? And because you've seen it so many times before, like we don't have to invest in getting you to invest in the character and whether or not he gets shot or not.
Right.
I don't know. That's just the thing too. It's like I feel like I feel so meh about so many films I've seen lately is because I want to be blown away like by something.
Mhm.
I want you to, tell me a story or show me something I've never seen before. I want to be I'm trying to remember the last time I was like blown away by a film or a
Right.
story or
Well, I
anything.
mean, take a movie like Milk or Good Will Hunting, right? Those are films that on their surface are films that are, not reinventing anything. They're about
Right.
kids in school or a political figure, but you do become so invested in what's happening, and he does find a way to tell you the story in a way that feels fresh and different to me. And this one just didn't do that. This one, I
Right.
felt like he was like, I found this story that I think is cool. Here's my version of it. And it just didn't end up being that interesting. And this is a terrible anecdote, but because I'm just whatever, I'm going to share. I met this man before my screening of Dead Man's Wire, and he told me, he was like, this is my most anticipated movie of this entire festival.
Wow.
I came to TIFF to see this. This man fell asleep.
Oh, this is the one that you were telling me about. Oh my God. Okay, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
He fell asleep 5 minutes into the movie and woke up when the credits started rolling. Like, he missed the whole.
Oh, this is the guy that you were like, should I wake him up?
Yeah, literally the whole time. Like, there were parts where it was like getting interesting, and I was like, should I wake him up now? Like,
and he was by himself. Like there was no one else with him that was like,
he was
dude,
by
wake
himself.
up.
I think he was like an industry guy or something. But yeah.
Oh my God.
But no, Coleman Domingo too is genuinely very good because, like I said, he plays this radio DJ that's like stuck in this really weird situation.
Yeah,
so
I love him. He's just one of those like every
performance a lot.
time he shows up and whatever he's showing up in, I'm happy to see him.
Yeah.
So
okay, next on my list, and this is like in placement interchangeable with Dead Man's Wire, a little bit better in my opinion, is The Wizard of the Kremlin. Directed by Olivier Assayas, who you guys would know from Personal Shopper and The Clouds of Sils Maria, both starring Kristen Stewart. Excellent movies that I loved. This one, so basically, it is about this sort of fixer PR media guy in Russia who takes oh my God, takes Putin. Excuse me. I'm like, what is the figure that I'm trying? The figure. Oh my God. Sorry, guys.
No, I love it. Sorry, I was looking it up while you were because it's also a book, and I accidentally looked up the book and not the movie. Sorry, go ahead.
So he sort of finds himself in a position where they're looking for like a new Russian leader to prop up, and he finds Putin, and he sort of transforms him into the Putin that we know today. And the fixer is played by Paul Dano, an excellent performance. And again, seeing him at the Q&A, I was like, this man should have minimum 3 Oscar nominations, Erica. And every time he shows up in anything, I get upset because I'm like, he is one of our most underutilized actors. He's so good.
Yeah, he's so good in everything.
And the reason why this movie does work is because of him. And Jude Law plays Vladimir Putin.
Oh,
that's an interesting performance because he looks very much like Putin. Like the physical transformation does work very well, but there are no Russian accents anywhere in this movie. So it feels very strange because you're like, you sound like Jude Law, but you look like Vladimir Putin.
Oh, that's strange. Why wouldn't they do accents?
And then Alicia Vikander, she plays kind of like the wife role to Paul Dano. She doesn't have a ton to do, but when she is on screen, she's very interesting. I love her. I'm a huge fan of her, so I thought she was very good. And this is again an interesting film because it is very long. It's 2.5 hours long, but I did find myself like it held my attention, which is a lot to say for a movie that's 2.5 hours long.
Right.
It just, the reason why it's not higher up is because it is just aggressively fine. I don't have anything bad to say about this movie. I don't have anything good to say about it. Again, the performances are very good, but that's kind of it. Like, again, it's just your dad would love this movie. I guarantee you, if we did a podcast with your dad, like at the end of the year, he'd be like, you know what movie I really liked and I thought was really interesting? The Wizard of the Kremlin. Like, the way that they shaped Putin into this monster is just so interesting.
You know who, Dad, but also I feel like Tyler will love this. So,
yeah,
you know,
we need a Tyler episode, I feel.
Oh my God. Yeah, that would be interesting. We should do that. Yeah.
But no, I mean, again, just even having conversations with people, that's kind of what I heard over and over again was, oh, it was fine. Oh, it was fine.
Right.
Oh, Paul Dano was really good, but it was fine.
Right.
I feel like it's just a very good performances kind of trapped in a mid movie. And there's really nothing that I think you could even do differently about it to make it better. It's just
right.
You know, maybe if Putin as a character was more compelling, maybe that would help. I mean, there's not that many stories like this, but again, it just felt like just aggressively fine. I really don't know how else to, like I said, TIFF is the story of TIFF is these sort of aggressively average films that aren't bad, but they don't blow you away. They're not doing anything you've never seen before.
Right.
It even has that sort of classic device of the journalist at the beginning that comes in to interview the guy.
Yeah.
Played by Jeffrey Wright. I've seen quite a few good Jeffrey Wright performances at TIFF. But yeah, so that's The Wizard of the Kremlin.
Okay.
Up next, dearest Erica, is a film called Charlie Harper, starring Nick Robinson and Emilia Jones, who you would know from Coda. She was the lead in Coda a couple years ago.
And what's the film called again? Charlie what?
Charlie Harper.
Harper.
If you like films like Crazy, We Live in Time, sort of these romances, like I feel like this is like kind of right up your alley. And it's solidly good. It's not a bad film. I mean, I enjoyed it. It sort of goes back and forward in time. You sort of see how they meet. You see the end of whatever, and then you kind of going back and forth in time. That's the problem, is that I've seen these exact romances that go back and forth in time so many times. The sort of 500 Days of Summer, like there's just so many of these sort of indie two actors you really like, two actors that have great chemistry. So I enjoyed it because I like those kinds of movies, but it's not doing anything new. It's not doing anything you haven't seen before, but it's again, if this is the kind of movie you like, I would recommend it because the acting is good. I like them together. I bought them as a couple, which is hard to do in these kinds of films.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Charlie Harper. And yeah, come for the cast and come if you like a solid, sweet romance, I guess. It's gonna tug at your heart a little bit.
Okay.
Up next is Hamlet. This is not Hamnet. Not Hamlet, Erica.
I was like, wait,
No. This is a Hamlet directed by Aneil Karia. So Aneil Karia, he won the Oscar a couple years ago for Best Short Film called The Long Goodbye with Riz Ahmed. The two of them won the Oscar together. So now they're back with Hamlet. This is directed by Aneil Karia and starring Riz Ahmed as the titular Hamlet. This, Erica, is again one of the most interesting films of the festival. Every time I made my list of what I saw, I never forgot that I watched it. The problem with this, or not even the problem, the crux of this is that how you feel about this film is going to depend entirely on how you feel about Shakespearean language. I am not a fan of Shakespearean language. I don't like when I watch things that are modern that have Shakespearean language. It messes with my brain in a very specific way. So I just couldn't get into it because I was like, I can't get into Shakespearean language in general. When you're watching something like a Hamnet, for example, and you have that sort of Shakespeare. That makes sense because it's in the context, right? This one, the language just kept taking me out of it. Now, I will say what works about this film is that, so he's playing like he's Indian in the film, I guess. And so there's a lot of sort of cultural elements that come into it.
Okay.
So that was fascinating. The scene, and this is not a spoiler because Hamlet is the oldest thing in the whole world, but the scene in Hamlet, when Hamlet is sort of putting on the play to trick his uncle to see if his uncle is gonna sort of admit to killing the king, like that is so interesting and so well done and so compelling. And it sort of takes place in the context of this wedding. I thought that was so cool. It was so cool to see, like the cultural costumes and all of that. I really liked that it stripped back a lot of the characters. Like there's no Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in this one. Like Hamlet is very isolated. It does feel very modern, sort of a guy trying to make his way through the modern world in that sense. So it does a lot of interesting things with the source material. I like the way it looks. It did invest me in sort of his journey. And Riz Ahmed is very, very good. He is always very good. He's particularly really good in this. I really liked all of the performances. Joaquin is really, really good in this. It's just a language thing for me. Like I feel like if I liked Shakespeare, I would love this. And there were people that were crying. There were people that absolutely loved it. So it really does just come down to how you feel about that language. But it is a really interesting adaptation. Like I can't wait to tell my English teacher about this because I feel like she would love it.
I love it. So it still is pretty high on high enough on this half of the list, right?
Yeah.
Is that because you're like kind of setting aside that you don't love the like Shakespearean language, or
I think it's
recognizing how good it is?
I think it's just because it's so different. Like again, the way that they weave in these sort of South Asian sort of elements, like cultural elements, is so interesting, and the acting is genuinely very good. So that there were moments where I was like able to look past the Shakespearean language and get really into it. And I was like fully invested in what was happening. And then during the Q&A, like Riz and Aneil were both there, and they were talking about the fact that it took them 14 years to make this.
Oh, wow.
And Riz Ahmed was talking about how much he connected to Hamlet and sort of this idea of like Hamlet's anxiety and all of that. I wish I felt as connected to Hamlet. I don't.
Yeah.
But it looks really cool. I think that's the thing, is I think visually the visual language is so interesting, the way that it plays with like the iconography and these lines that we know. And even when Hamlet delivers the sort of to be or not to be, it's delivered in a context that you're not expecting, a very modern context. So it kind of it's just interesting in that way. Like I said, if I was a Shakespeare fangirl, this would be much higher on my list. I just the language just gets to me. All right, so we're at number 20 on my list, Erica. Okay. This is going to be the most controversial of all the films that we've talked about so far. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Next up, I have The Smashing Machine. Directed by Benny Safdie, starring Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
This film was a huge deal at Venice. All of the buzz coming out of Venice was for The Smashing Machine. I think it won the top directing prize there.
Okay. I don't know if I knew that.
For Benny Safdie. This is another one of those movies where maybe on a different day this would rank a lot higher. I'm very conflicted. And the reason why, I don't know, should I start with what I liked, what I didn't like?
Yeah, tell me what you liked.
Okay. I do think, well, let me say this. I am not a wrestling, MMA, WWE fan. I don't know anything about that world.
Yeah.
And I found myself caring about these characters quite a bit. And I think that says a lot. And I think, I keep saying, the dad movie, right? This is also a dad movie, but the way that it's done appeals to you, even if you are not the typical WWE guy, and I appreciate that very much. I think, again, the visual language is interesting. There's a lot of things that I thought were shot in a interesting way. There's actually not that many sort of wrestling sequences, not as many as you would think that there would be in a film like this, but the ones that are there are shot very, very well. I didn't know the story of Steve Kerr, so I didn't know. Is it Steve Kerr?
Yeah, I don't know the story about him either.
But I was, so maybe if you do know, you might not find it as interesting, but I was like, what's gonna happen to this guy?
Yeah.
And it sort of starts off with him, he's sort of has this dependency on steroids, and he's trying to get his career. Maybe he's in a lull in his career, and he's trying to kind of move up to the next level.
Yeah.
I think the problem and the reason why it's not higher up on my list is I don't know how to feel about the actual storytelling in some ways.
Okay.
Like, there's an argument to be made that there's a lot of things that are missing. Like, it kind of jumps from one thing to the other, and then I'm like, wait, what happened in the middle? I don't know if I know that much about this man that I didn't, I would have liked to know more about him as a person, having watched the movie. Because it's basically one of those kind of takes place in like intermittent periods of his life for a short period of time. And
so
then
did it feel a little incomplete, maybe?
I would say that is it does feel incomplete. Yeah. It does feel like there could have been more being told. I liked the direction. I've actually heard people tell me, they didn't like the direction. I think the direction is the strongest part of the film. Emily Blunt, I need to talk about Emily Blunt because oh God, I'm struggling, Erica. I'm struggling because the thing is there's plenty. Unfortunately, in the year of our Lord 2025, there's still a lot of thankless wife roles that we see.
Yeah.
And I would have liked more for her. I can even accept the fact that this is a thankless wife role. I just don't like the way that her character is used, almost like the things that went wrong were because of her type of a thing. That I don't like the way that made me feel. I don't like what they do with her character. Honestly, I didn't even like, maybe I shouldn't even say this on here, but during the Q&A, they were like, oh, so-and-so's here, and they got up and they clapped for the real life person in the audience. And then Emily Blunt, she was like, when it was her turn to speak, she was like, Dawn's here, I love you, Dawn. But then nobody was like, gave her a moment to sort of get up and have a moment. And even that bothered me. Like, she's so much of an afterthought in all of this. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it. That was sort of the feeling that I got, that it just felt like she was basically a character that is used. And maybe that's the point, right? That he's sort of this egotistical guy and he uses everyone. But it just made me a little bit uncomfortable the way that character is handled. And she's very good. Like, everyone wants to talk about Dwayne Johnson, which I'll get to. She is the best performance of the film to me. And I felt like the film was at its most interesting when she was on screen, because I liked watching her. She's very magnetic in this. But yeah, and to talk about the Dwayne Johnson of it all, this is where we get into like festival hype. And maybe if we weren't coming out of Venice, like, I would feel differently. But I kept seeing all this, like, this transformative performance, this and that. Yeah, it is transformative because he doesn't look like himself. But then we get into the thing of like, is that enough?
Right. Well, and I also think he's the type of actor that like everyone likes him, like, on a personal level. It's like he's one of those celebrities that I feel like everyone is like, oh, I love The Rock. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Well, sure. I think people have a hard time separating the sort of cult of personality rock figure that we all know and love with sort of the actor. Again, it kind of like what I mentioned with the Jude Law thing, where he looked like Vladimir Putin but sounded like Jude Law. I had the same problem with the Smashing Machine. I was like, you look like this man, but you sound like The Rock. And I just was like, it was distracting to me. And honestly, Erica, like some of these films, like I'm like, oh well, maybe if I watched Blue Moon again, I'd feel differently. I think I could watch The Smashing Machine 3 other times and I would feel exactly the same way that I do about this movie. Yeah, and again, I keep seeing people say, "Oh, it's the best performance of Dwayne Johnson's career." Okay, like if you're comparing it to Red One, sure, it's the best performance of his career. But what bar are we looking at? I don't think that
Right.
that's a good, moniker for this or whatever. Is it interesting in terms of like what he may do moving forward? Because he has a lot of other sort of things coming up. Again, seeing him in person, he's lost a lot of weight because he's already working on sort of his next drama.
Yeah.
So maybe he's like developing into something. Maybe this is like the turning point for his career. But like, is this the movie? Not for me. I don't think so.
Right. But maybe just for now, maybe that's what people are.
It feels like kind of like a Adam Sandler Uncut Gems moment of like, oh, I didn't know he could do this. But
that makes sense.
I'm not gonna call it like one of the best performance. I mean, I'm begrudgingly, let me say this, going to put it in my Oscar predictions.
Okay.
Sure. But does he even need to be there? No. I wouldn't even put this in the best performances I've seen in the 30 films at TIFF. Like, I just don't think he's, and again, entirely my opinion, he's the least interesting part of this movie. The interesting part of this movie is that because it takes place like late 90s, early 2000s, that you feel like you were in that world. You were completely immersed in who these wrestling characters are and the way that they train, and is he gonna be physically ready, like, what happens to him when he takes this punch? Like, that's the interesting part. It's not, this performance is not there for me. And like I said, I think the gender power dynamics are just off. So I'm mixed positive on The Smashing Machine.
Yeah, and that's one of the ones that I feel like, I am looking forward to, but I think it's another one of these that we've been talking about, right? Where it's like kind of like a dad flick. I'm assuming it's going to be like other sports movies I've seen and follow that same kind of path and formula and hit all the points that I'm expecting it to hit. Will I see it? Yeah, I'll still see it. So I'm interested to see how I feel about it when I finally do get it.
Yeah. Of the 10 movies we've talked about so far, it is the one that I'm like, I want people to see, just because it's an interesting experience. Like, I think just if you like movies, you'll like being in this world. But, it's not, is it a movie that I'm going to be thinking about? Like I mentioned, Other People's Children. I think about that movie 4 years later. Am I going to be thinking about this movie 4 years later? Probably not. Is that an unfair bar for me to put on this movie? Absolutely. But it's my list.
The reality of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's your experience of it, so it's valid.
All right, a few more to get to before we wrap up this episode.
Yeah.
The next one is a very tiny movie that I really loved. It's called The Memory of Princess Moonby, directed by Damien Hauser, I believe. It's such an interesting premise, Erica. Of all the films I saw at TIFF, this has to be like the weirdest, coolest premise. It takes place like many decades-ish into the future in this fictional African country. And the face you're making, why are you making that
I'm trying
face?
to look it up and I can't even get it to come up. The Memory of Prince, what was it?
The Memory of Princess Moonby. Sorry, you're...
I just was like, I can't even get this to, like, I Googled what I thought you said and I couldn't even get it to come up.
Sorry, for those of you listen on our podcast feed, we're so grateful. But if you ever have the chance, just watch on YouTube, just the faces that Erica makes at me. I deserve an Oscar for keeping it together as far as I have, honestly.
I'm sorry. I have a lot of facial expressions.
You do. You need to be in the movies, Erica. You're not maximizing your potential here.
You're so funny. Sorry. That was like I'm like Googling. I'm like, this is not even coming up at all. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. So The Memory of The Memory of Princess Moonbeam. So basically, so as I said, it's taking place many years in the future, and there's this documentarian, and he is like trying to find this actress for this movie that he wants to make, and he like falls in love with her, but she's been promised to this prince, and so it's kind of this like what happens to them. It's super interesting, and like I said, because he's like a filmmaker, one of the themes of the movie is like, in this AI dominated futuristic world, like how much AI should he be using? How does he capture this woman's life? Like there's like this, I'm butchering, but there's this quote in this movie where he says like the point of the movie isn't to show life, it's an interpretation of life. And yeah, it was just so unique. It was unlike anything I've seen at this festival or in general. It's only 70 minutes long, which was really fascinating. Like it was very tight, which, you could argue like, oh, I would have liked it to be a more full-length feature or a short film. But I just thought it was really interesting. The fact that it was such a small film and they were able to make it feel as rich as they did was really cool. I liked the way that it looked. I just love the themes. I love that it's dealing with like AI, with filmmaking, with love, with, sort of this love or money thing, with sort of what is happiness, it made me think, and I keep thinking about it, and it's just a very sweet movie. And I think if you like movies, if you are interested in sort of this, what is the future of filmmaking, this is like a really interesting way to look at that. And yeah, it was just different. It was just completely different. And for that reason, I absolutely loved it.
Now that I finally got it to come up on Google, I do think it looks really interesting.
I really like sort of this like, Afrofuturism, sort of retrofuturism vibes. I'm super interested in that in terms of storytelling, and sort of the way that it weaves in sort of African culture. But again, because it's this sort of mystical world, it's a little bit different. Everything feels familiar, but not. There's also parts where you're like, is this AI? Is this real? Is this actually what happened to him? Is this what he made up? Like, there's a little bit of sort of unreliable narrator, which is a theme that I am really drawn to. So yeah,
Interesting.
I really like this movie. I'm kind of regretting not putting it higher up on my list.
Do we know if that's coming to streaming or if that like
it's so tiny. I don't even think they have a distributor or anything. Like I said, I will put in show notes, like details for all of these of where you can find them. But I will be like, I think I'm literally going to set up a Google alert for this movie so that as soon as I get any sort of updates, I will let everyone.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, I really want to see this. How am I going to be able to see this? Yeah.
I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
Next movie on my list is a movie called Hedda, adapted from the very iconic play, directed by Nia DaCosta. Have you heard anything about this movie?
No.
Okay, so it's Nia DaCosta, and it's going to be on Prime October 29th, so very soon. This is also a hard one because I feel like, again, for a lot of people, I kept seeing like, oh, it's their favorite of the festival. I can understand why. It looks very good. Production design's gorgeous. Costume design is gorgeous. If it was not a Amazon film, I would honestly put it all over my Oscar predictions in the craft categories. It feels like the kind of thing that they're dumping a little bit. Maybe they have a little bit of a hidden gem and they don't know that they have a hidden gem. It stars Tessa Thompson as Hedda, and she's very, very good. And it's sort of this like, wickedly sexy, devilish interpretation of the play, of this sort of iconic play turned on its head. I didn't love it. I think it's one of those things where it's a little bit style over substance. Like it looks very pretty and it's very visually appealing, but the story wasn't as captivating to me. Is another one that maybe I would be more captivated if it wasn't as long. And also, again, the pacing I felt was a little bit all over the place, where I was really into it and then it dips, and then the ending is it ends very well. I just was not as invested in the beginning, middle-ish as I would like to be. And Nina Haas, I believe, she was in Tar a couple years ago with Kate Blanchett. She's in it, and she's also phenomenal. Like, the acting is just very good across the board. I highly recommend, like, when it comes out on Amazon, I think I really want everyone to watch it. That's another one, like this one and The Smashing Machine. Like, I just think you'd have a good time watching it. It doesn't stand out to me as much as some of the other ones that are higher up on this list, but I appreciate how it's made. I think Nia DaCosta is just such an interesting filmmaker. I think every movie she makes, even the Marvels, which is not top tier Marvel by any means, is interesting because of the talent she brings to it.
Right.
And this is such a good showcase for Tessa Thompson. She's just like, you're watching the film because you can't take your eyes off of her. And if you are familiar with the play and the many interpretations of the play, it's an interesting take on it. So I can appreciate it for that reason. I just wish, like I said, I wish it was maybe a little bit more, I don't know, not as disjointed maybe, or just not as like slow in some parts, and I would put it higher, but I can appreciate it. All right, almost there. We have 2 more movies to talk about, Erica. 2 big ones.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Oh God, I know. I'm gonna get okay. My next film on this list, which I'm probably gonna get a lot of, dunked on for putting it as low as I have, is The Secret Agent.
Okay.
Are you familiar with The Secret Agent? This one, Erica, won Best Actor at Cannes for Wagner Moura. Has been on my like most anticipated films of the year list for this performance. It is Brazil's official submission for the international film category at the Oscars. I very much can see this film getting nominated for international feature, if not for Wagner himself. He is so good. This performance by Wagner Moura is the reason to watch this film, in my opinion. Even when I was not as interested in what's happening in the story, I was 100% interested in what he was doing. Okay. It's such a layered performance. It's such an interesting performance. The reason why I'm not as high on it as I would like to be is because it is just so long. It's so long when it doesn't need to be. And it's very tonally all over the place, to the point where I don't think it balances those tonal shifts as well as it should. And I think by the time you figure out what it's doing, it's like it's too late. Like by the time I got it, I was sort of out of it, if that makes sense. So this is one that I would be interested to watch again, sort of with fresh eyes, to see if I feel differently. And the ending is very good. It's sort of this guy, and it's during the dictatorship in Brazil, and he's like a political, seeking political asylum, and so he's away from his son. His son is being raised by his in-laws, so he's trying to find a way to be able to kind of clear his name and get back to his kid. But yeah, I wasn't as invested in this as I guess I wanted to be, and I think it's just because of the length, because so much happens. It sort of is going back and forward in time. There's different characters that it's following, so you kind of get thrown out. It kind of throws you around, and it throws you around too much, and I think it's at the detriment of the story. And I don't think the reaction at TIFF was as strong as the reaction at other festivals. So I think that's, I don't know. I don't think it's as strong as a contender, as strong as a film as I would have hoped. So yeah, I'm disappointed not to have this higher on my list, but I'm really glad that I saw it. And like I said, performance wise, I mean, my God. Yeah, I'm gonna be beating the drum for Wagner Moura because he's so good, and I feel like he's one of those actors that's been around for a while, and I'm glad to see him get some appreciation. But I just wish the film was more cohesive.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like that's a lot.
And you feel it, and like I said, even something like The Wizard of the Kremlin, I felt like held my attention better than this did, even though that wasn't nearly as interesting or well made. But I was able to follow it a little bit more. So yeah. And also this was, I will say, one of the like earlier films I saw on the festival. So maybe if it was a little bit fresher in my mind, I'd feel differently. But to me, it's like the performance is the thing about this movie, is the
Right.
reason to see it. Which brings me to my next film and the last film that we're going to be talking about today.
So
Again,
this is number 16 then, right?
This is 16. So we're going to do 1 through 15 in part 2. This is number 16. Oh, this one hurts. Rental Family, written and directed by Hikari, starring Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, I've heard about this one.
Yeah, yep. This one's coming out soon. The trailers are already playing in theaters. I will, as I mentioned, put all the trailers in the show notes for you guys to watch. A very interesting premise, Erica. This one is very different. It's this American actor, kind of, wannabe actor, I should say, that finds himself in Japan and he's looking for a job. So he starts working for this company where you can rent people out to play different roles in your life. If you want somebody to go to the movies with you, you can rent somebody to do that. If you want somebody to play your mistress so that she can come to your wife and apologize to your wife, you can do that. So he gets hired to pretend to be, and all of this is in the trailer, he gets hired to pretend to be this little girl's father. Because the mom thinks that, if she has this father figure in her life, she'll be able to handle this transition that's happening better. And then, he grows attached to this little girl and they form this bond. It's a very well told story. I have no problems with this story at all. I can't wait to rewatch it. I mean, I love Brendan Fraser. I can't wait to rewatch this with my mom. I keep talking about dad movies. This is a mom movie if I've ever seen one. It's just very, very sweet, very sentimental. It made a lot of people cry. I'm dead inside, so I didn't cry. But there were a lot of sniffles when I saw Brendan Fraser is very good. I've been a Brendan Fraser defender.
Yeah.
Like I love him in The Whale. I love how good he is in this because then I could be like, that wasn't sort of a one-hit wonder type of a thing.
Right.
This was the entire festival, like one of the front runners for the People's Choice Prize. I was honestly surprised that it didn't end up placing in the top 3 in terms of the People's Choice Prize. And I will say, Hikari, the director, she was at every single. I saw this Friday morning, 12:30, towards the end of the festival. She was there doing a Q&A. She was lovely. You could tell how much this film meant to her. And people, now that the film hasn't placed in the top 3 at TIFF, they're ready to sort of write it off as an awards contender. Maybe not the Oscars. I think the Oscars, I don't see it going that far, but like Globes, absolutely. Critics' Choice, potentially. Like, it's just a very sweet, well-made, the problem is, I guess, if there is a problem, is that it's not life-changing. It's not for me. It may be life-changing for somebody else. I absolutely see that, actually. But it's just like, just a solidly good the kind of movie you can watch with your family during the holidays, and it just makes you feel good. Like I have nothing negative to say about this movie. It's just there were stronger films that I saw that had more of an impact than this one, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Do you think it's kind of, one of those that could just completely fly under the radar?
You mean in terms of like awards or like people seeing it?
Both.
I think people, because I do think I think it's coming out October, November-ish. I do think it's the kind of thing that people are going to see just because it is the kind of thing that you can see with your whole family. Like, it is one of the most universally, if not the most universally appealing film that we've talked about thus far. So I do hope that people see it. I just think that it is so like sentimental, and I love sentimental things, so it appeals to me. But maybe that's kind of what kept it being like a top choice for people at the festival. Or maybe it's because like it's exactly what you think it's going to be. Like the trailer kind of spells out the whole thing for you, and that's not a bad thing. But in terms of like, if you want something that's going to surprise you, if you want something that's going to show you a world you've never seen before, like that's not what this is. And that's not a bad thing. Like it's beautiful. It does it's very colorful, very vibrant. It shows, the city very well, like Japanese culture. It's beautiful, but it's just, but yeah, it doesn't reinvent anything. And I've said that about other films on this list. The reason why Rental Family is higher for me is just because the emotional impact is there. Like you are so invested in what's happening.
You think that's the performances?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brendan Fraser, like, you just love him, and he makes you, all the characters, even the sort of non-name characters, you do end up becoming, like, invested in what's happening. It does sort of hold your attention the whole time. It's really well done. Like I said, I have nothing, there's really nothing bad to say about this. But again, that's probably part of the problem, is you're not, I don't need to, like, at the end of the year, is it going to be one of those films where I'm like, you have to see it? I don't know. Maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But in terms of awards, like, again, of the films, I think the ones that are going to come up are again, potentially Rental Family for like Fraser or screenplay, again, for like a critics group or something, sure. But I think the secret agent is going to be a big one. Look out for that one. I do think the Smashing Machine, if nothing else, is going to be like hair, makeup. Again, Safdie, I think, is very much going to be in the conversation.
Right.
I mean, maybe I could see somebody nominating, like, one of the guys from The Wizard of the Kremlin for something. Like, I wouldn't be completely shocked. But I think, and then Blue Moon, I mean, maybe if people respond to Blue Moon more than I did, like, I could see Ethan Hawke getting, because that is such an interesting, different performance from him.
Right.
And they love biopics, so I could see that becoming a thing.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Ballad of a Small Player is going to come and go, but you never know, because these awards bodies love Colin Farrell, so he could show up. So yeah, some major contenders so far. We'll get to the big ones in my next half.
I know. I was going to say, I'm excited because there's some titles that you didn't mention. Which I think is good, because that means they're higher on your list, which I'm really excited to hear about.
Yeah. Is there anything that I talked about that you were shocked that is as low as it was?
Honestly, just the Richard Linklater, just because, you love him. I love him. I love Ethan Hawke. I love Margaret Qualley. I think it's just shocked just because of the names, it's just like, that's the only thing, but I totally hear what you're saying about it.
Watch Ethan Hawke like run away with Best Actor, and you'll be like, remember when you put that movie at the bottom of your TIFF ranking? I'll be like, I know.
You're allowed to have an opinion.
No, he's very, very good. He's very good. That's another one of those things. Like, a lot of these films are the kind of thing where it's like, watch it for the performance. Like The Secret Agent, watch it for Wagner Moura. The Wizard of the Kremlin, watch it for Paul Dano. He's so good. Rental Family, watch it for Brendan Fraser. Hedda, watch it for Tessa Thompson. A lot of really good acting showcases. Like The Smashing Machine, like, the performances, like, even if you don't like the performances, I think you'll have an opinion about the performances, which is interesting in and of itself. I think anytime a movie is going to make you feel something, make you think something, like the spirited debates I saw people having about The Smashing Machine, like that alone is worth your time.
Yeah.
And Hamlet. I don't know if you can move past the Shakespearean. I need to look up when that's coming out, but like Riz Ahmed is so good in that. I love when I see an actor that I like, and I'm like, oh, like I knew you were good. I knew you were Oscar worthy good, because The Sound of Metal is like one of my favorite movies ever. But then like, you just did something like so interesting and cool. So yeah. So I'm gonna go over my list one more time for good measure for everybody listening. And as I've said, I will have full notes, trailers, release dates, all that good stuff in the show notes, and I will make an effort to do that for every episode moving forward, by the way, because sometimes I know, even listening to podcasts, I'm sure, Erica, you have the same thing. Somebody will mention something and be like, what was that? Like, I want, so we'll make that easier for you guys. So we have
you're like driving down the road while you're listening, and then you're like, how do I go back and find that?
Yeah. So we have Ballad of a Small Player, Blue Moon, The Sun and the Sea, Dinner with Friends, The Lost Bus, A Private Life, Dead Man's Wire, The Wizard of the Kremlin, Charlie Harper, Hamlet, The Smashing Machine, The Memory of Princess Moonbee, Hedda, The Secret Agent, and Rental Family. And I will have my 1 through 15 ranking in the next episode.
Yeah, I can't wait. So we are going to talk about that next. You guys might have to wait a little bit longer for the next episode, but it'll be worth the wait to hear.
I'll try and make it worth it.
It is
no pressure.
No pressure, but I'm excited to hear your top 15. So
pressure.
As always, follow Shadan at Shadan Larkey. I'm Erica Richards at eRock Reviews. Follow In Session Film at all the things, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Letterboxd, blah, blah, blah. You guys know all the places to follow.
Yeah. Subscribe to our Patreon so you can hear me talk about the Criterion Closet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, that was so fun. So cool.
Erica, what if I told you that the thing that made me most emotional during my TIFF experience was going to the Criterion Closet?
I think that's totally valid, and I think other people would understand that, too.
Okay. So if I said it was worth it for me to get on a plane to come, family aside.
100%.
Okay.
No,
so Criterion Closet and Chris Evans making my very expensive trip to Toronto worth it. Like it's okay to say that publicly.
1,000%, and that's so relatable. I think everyone totally understands that.
Okay.
Totally.
Well, thank you for validating my feelings.
100%. Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you guys for listening. So Patreon, subscribe.
Yes.
YouTube channel, subscribe. Follow us on all the things. Rate and review. Tell your family members. Tell your friends. Watch The Lost Bus and yell at me and say that it should have been my number 1. That's your homework. That's all our listeners' homework for the next week or so until we see you again.
Yes. And next time we'll hear about Shadan's top 15. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you guys soon.